Hi, my name's Zach. Welcome to Double Shot with the Big Shot, where we try and figure out how entrepreneurs become successful. Today, we're here downtown at the Roasterie to talk with the founder, Danny O'Neill. He's inside waiting for us, so let's go get started.
We've talked about this before, how neurotic I get about anything to do with quality. And so if I pour my French press into a cup that hasn't been preheated, let's just say it was cool, and actually happened yesterday, I won't say where. The cold cup sucks the temperature from the coffee, and it'll make a sour taste.
What year was that when you met Barnett?
I think 95. So this little guy comes up, he goes, you know, his left hand goes, I've had my eye on you. And I said, well, I've had my eye on you too. That's your third cup, decaf. I mean, he looks at me like that, and he goes, well, I want to talk to you sometime. He handed me his card, and I said, well, you can talk to me about anything you want, anytime you want. I didn't know Barnett Hellsberg from Adam. And so it took about...
you didn't?
Oh, did not know. Okay. I didn't know who he was. And
wow. Okay.
So about 6 months later, he called me finally. And then I came in, and he goes, well, here's what I want to do, you know. Ewing Kaufman helped me a lot, and I'd always want to help him. I'd always want to do something. What can I do for you? He'd say, you help others. You just help others. You help other people when the opportunity comes. So he had sold his company to Warren Buffett, and that's indeed what he wanted to do. So his idea was to help local aspiring entrepreneurs. We didn't call ourselves entrepreneurs then. We just
people starting businesses.
Yeah, we were just people starting businesses. Wacky people mostly, right?
Well, yeah, that's
hand in hand.
Happens, exactly.
And you know, like I mentioned, 6 months later, we had a discussion. So he said, what do you need most help with? And I said, probably accounting. So a couple of months later then, I get a call. Your mentor is going to be Henry Bloch. And that's how I met Henry, right? And but there wasn't any paperwork or anything, and they all joked that I would never be able to get in today, because I probably wouldn't be able to get in today, but I wouldn't probably. There's all these forms and all this paperwork, and I probably wouldn't fill it out. I don't think I would have.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, cheers, man. I appreciate
cheers.
This.
Oh, you got it. Thank you, buddy.
Absolutely. All right, we're gonna be standing for days if we don't go sit down. So let's go sit down. You said that Barnett kind of told you, go do good for others. Is that how you look at being a mentor? Do you expect anything in return from the mentee? Is it a mutually beneficial relationship?
You know what, that's a great question, but it needs to be, yes, it needs to be mutually beneficial. But here in Kansas City, if you have an attitude that, you know, not the stereotype, but let's say we find in different parts of the country, and if you have that here, it's not going to work.
It's kind of the negative, I'm better than you kind of
thing?
Well,
that, or you know, or just kind of crabby, or why would I do that? Well, what's in it for me?
Right.
Well, if I help you, then you're my competitor.
Yeah.
That type of an attitude. Or if you have a lot of money, you know, in Kansas City, we could give a rat's.
Yeah.
You know.
Money's around.
But we care what you do with your money, particularly if you made it here.
Yeah.
You know. And I think that's awesome. I think there's a lot of cities in the country, I know this to be true, that's not the case. If you have a lot of money, you're somebody. In Kansas City, we could give a rat's.
Yeah.
But in fact, we care what you do with your money in terms of the civic. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that about Kansas City.
Could you pull out your goals list and kind of explain to us how you do that and how often you do that and
you didn't know
that system
I didn't know you were going to ask me that, did I?
No, of course not. No, this is,
Well, it's funny that yesterday...
Every day, every time I've ever had a conversation with you, you pull it out at least once to reference something.
So when I was 16 or 17 years old, our football coach we had to write down goals. They were on the inside locker, so when our locker doors were open, which they were always open when we were in a locker room, our goals were right there so everybody could see them. But here we are then as adults, our families, our mortgages, everything's based on that performance. And we say, oh, you know, we want to treat them like fragile flowers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I would always say, put them up on the wall.
Is that an accountability thing? Is that what you mean by stick it up on the? Yeah. Okay.
Totally. And then a motivator.
Who do you have that keeps you accountable?
Well, a lot of folks, that's a great question. My wife does, my family does, Ernie, our new president who you just met, does.
Yeah.
My group, I have a group here in Kansas City called Convene that I meet with once a month. We spend one full day together and they see all of our financials, all of my goals. So anyway, I'll say this quarter's crucial goals: 1 year goals, 3 year goals, lifetime goals. And these are the absolute must-dos this quarter.
All right,
And,
can we hold that up just from far away?
Get dressed properly every day. No. This is an intrinsic thing. That it's up there and everybody can see it is more powerful, but I gotta want to do this.
Right.
I gotta want it, and that's whatever it is. And then if I'm talking to guys who are related to sports, with football, you gotta want the ball. If you don't want the ball, nothing else matters. There are no shortcuts, there are no secrets. You gotta want it. And then you gotta you gotta make yourself do whatever it takes to be able to, whether it's the ball, your own business, whatever the case is, you gotta want it.
What advice do you have for young entrepreneurs overall?
Yeah, so the advice I would give to young entrepreneurs would be, first of all, show up, do your homework, do the plan, work a plan. Eisenhower said back in World War II, the plan in and of itself isn't worth as much as the planning process. So once you're going through that, you're thinking of all these consequences and you're thinking about all these alternatives. So the planning process is what's most critical. Once you get the plan, you can throw it away. I have never, ever opened up the business plan that I had for the Roasterie, ever. But I can tell you the brain damage that went into putting that thing together, it's all right here. What little bit of my brain is left, but so that there's no substitute for that. And then there's a dove factor, but it's one that I think is often overlooked. It's got to be something that you love. Make it something that you love. I mentioned earlier, I've been reading about kind of how the brain works. The brain will feed whatever you give it. It doesn't care, positive, negative. And my 9-year-old will say, well, Dad, whether you think you can or can't, you're right. My 9-year-old says that. And
you're a child.
He is right.
Yeah.
He is right. If you're going to put your time in anyway, hey, I have an idea. Make it be something that you love. Why? So you think about crazy thought. Because anything that you do is going to be insanely more difficult than you thought it was going to be. There's not one of us that wouldn't say, oh, if I had a ton of money, then I would do what I would like to do. Yeah. And then I'll be successful and I'll be happy. Yeah. It never, ever works that way. And here's a good, fun assignment if you haven't ever done this. I think it's the University of Illinois, but Google this study on happiness and then on people who won more than $50,000. And then they track them and they see what happened to their happiness. And you already know the end, right? Yeah. It's either the same or they're less happy after winning a fortune. It doesn't work that way. So the advice I would give folks is do your homework, work hard, show up, do what you say you're going to do, and then whatever it is that you apply yourself to, make it be something that you love and that you like to do. But that would be my advice.
Well, thank you, Danny. I
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Great to see you.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you stopping in to your own place.